we are trying to solve in this project is to call modules built in C and C++, native modules from a Scala environment or a Scala program. So the framework that we're using to make this easy to do is called Swig. It's a framework for calling C native shared objects, code built in C and C++ from various scripting languages, including Java. And then since it supports Java, we can use that in Scala. So here's an example C file that just has two functions in it, a factorial function and a modulus function that returns the results. And we want to call those from our Scala script. And our Scala script is runme.scala that here we're just going to process the argument and compute the factorial and print it out. But we're going to use the native code that we built from that C file. In order to do this, we need to use, in this Swig framework, we need to have a mapping file which is called example.I. And this just maps the variables and methods in the example, in the C code in the framework, so that way it can map those onto a Java class. So the first step is to process the example.I file with the Swig, and it generates an example.java, example.jni.java, and a wrapper file. The example wrapper is just communicating using the JNI framework, so that way the JDK, so that way Java can use it. The example JNI.java is the file that just exports those into the Java environment. And then the example.java is just the mapping in Java as a Java class of the same thing that's in the example.c file. So now we need to compile and link those C files, the example.c and the wrapper, and link them to the JDK, the JNI files in the JDK. And then the next step is to build a shared object from those output object files that we just made. And then we have to compile the Java files that were generated and see how we have example.class, example.jni.class. Those are going to be used by the Java runtime to communicate with the shared object. So now we can compile our runme.scala file. And there it generated the class file for the runme. And now, in order to load the shared object, it needs to be on the load library path. So I'm just exporting it and putting it on the load library path file. And now we can run it. And there, Scala is just telling it to compute the factorial of 5, and then it printed it out on the command line. So I hope this gave a great simple example for how to communicate with C